Hine Yisrael shekibul pikadon migoy. Oh, mi Yisrael. He's watching something for someone, for a goy or a Jew. The kibul of achrayas, and he was makabel achrayas, over, because that's the thing that we learned out of the ribuy, that if you have achrayas for something, you're over. I'm Rishonim shacharach or chaim sen tap mem sipalef. Hey shitas, there's a machlokas as far as how much achrayas do you have to have for this din. Yesh shitos. I take it.
No, it doesn't.
And your wife just wants to know if you made it.
No, I'm just trying to turn it off. Sorry.
Yeshitas, vafilu einu lavrak achrayas v'pshia, over. In other words, the Gemara doesn't go into what kind of achrayas you have to have. Well, there are some cases the Gemara brings, but that's what the Machos Rishon is telling. In other words, a shomer chinim, if I make you a shomer chinim, you're only chayiv on pshia. Right? A shomer sacher, you're already chayiv on Gneva available. You're not chayiv on an onus. The show is even chayiv on onsin. So what level of achrayas do you have to be over by your when the Gemara says that there's a ribuy that with achrayas you're over? So there's some sheet that's the lowest level. If only achrayas and pshia, it's enough to be over by your the yesh sovereign dafka achrayas Gneva available, which is the achrayas the shomer sacher. I think there's a sheet that holds it only even some people hold only on to, but I'm not so sure. He only brings down 2 sheets. I remember there's 3 sheets. That's L'Shagasari Hikshal Arash Psat and Perikala Shehevi Raya the Sagi Achrayas Pshia. So now he's saying the rush holds it's enough to be Achrayas only for Pshia. The Bryce Sham, he brings a Raya. The Hivkidu Hanakri Etzlo. It says the Nakri gives you a pikadon Zakul Gubar. You're responsible for that chametz and you have to get rid of it. And the Rush says the spam because they know shomer chinim. It just says if kidu anachri. So the Rush says you see that you're chayav even on achrayas of pshia. The Tama Shagasarya, he says he can't understand this Rush at all. Hastam pikadon einu afil shomer chinim. He says when a guy gives you a pikadon, you're not even a shomer chinim. So by a Jew when he gives you a pikadon, you're a shomer. If a guy gives you a pikadon, he says there's no din of shmir. Hastam because there ain't no people shomer chinam. There ain't din shomer lahakdish. The more he says there's no din shomer lahakdish, and there's no din shomer to a guy either. So he says how could the Rosh bring a raya? You see by stam pikadon of a guy, you're chayav. He says because must be you're only a shomer chinam. He said you're not even a shomer chinam. So how can you think that's the shot in the brisa? So Mayan Shas. But Messiah, the Ram Perik Beis Maskira says there's no din shmira by a guy.
He says beforehand that he says beforehand that the kibul kodim in a guy.
That's a Gemara. So the Rosh is learning that Gemara. You're a stam because why are you a chayav avara? Because
you're a shomer chinim.
Because you're a shomer chinim, and therefore you only chayav of pshia. So you see a chayas of pshia is enough to be over.
And if you don't learn that, if you're not a shomer,
so we're gonna have to see how to shak. So Shak says he can't understand how he learns that way because by a guy you're not even a shomer, you're not even chayav in pshia, so you have to learn a different shot in the bracket. We'll see if he's going to say what his shot is. So that's his kasha on the Rush. B'chein hiksha al Rashi, Rashi amuva b'ran something based on beis midapi arif. I guess the same kind of kasha. I don't know. The kasav. So the kasav, I guess there's a Rashi that says also by a goy you're chayav on pshia, and he says how could it be if there's no din shmira by a goy? The kasav soper karamim shamalacha gimel. To call Hanoah imatam adin shomrim, Hainu, he says even though there is psukim that he said that there's no shmir to hektish, there's no shmir to a goy, so that he says there's a Ram that says that's in the parsha of Shua that normally the owner could go to the shomer and the shomer says something happened, he could tell the shomer make a Shua that's what happened. When the pasuk says there's no shmir, you are not mechuyev a Shua to hektish or to a goy. So he says, Raman says it's only a p'tur that there's no din of shua. But pshia, mishalim, but you are chayiv on a pshia. I mean, if you could prove that you were a posheya, you don't have a right to make a, but if you were posheya, or let's say you admit that you were posheya, the Raman says you are chayiv. So it could be the Rush and Rashi hold like the Raman, that stamina when a guy gives you a pikadon, even though there's no din of shmir, it's only the gabi shua, what Raman says. But there is a din of chayiv for a pshia. So that's how you can learn Rush, and he says there's a Rashi like that. That also says there's a pshia. The B'chein kas b'chok Yaakov. He says that same svara of the Shagasar you'll find in the Chog Yaakov. V'ani kasabti b'makom acher. I don't know where his makom acher is, but we probably learned it one time. The Ramam Shamalach Aleph Maskil Ein Din Shomrim B'Karkos B'Avalim Ushtaros B'Hakdeshos V'Goyim. So that's mashma. There's no Din Shomer at all. B'Acher Zay Kosa B'Halachik Gimel Yirali D'Avalim Ushtaros Karkos In Posha Chayiv the Masik Yadayimhu. So there the Rambam seems to be saying, even though you're not a Shomer, but Pshia you're Chayiv, because as Pshia is considered you were Masikit. You have a din like a Masik. Below, but he says that then yearly. He said, no, when he said there's no din shmir, he said 5 cases: karka, avodim, ushtaros, hakteshos, and goyim. So then he says, even though there's no din shmir, you're chayiv and shia, but he mentions in 3 cases avodim, ushtaros, and karkos. Below kol al haktesh v'goy, but it doesn't say in all 5 you're chayiv and shia. Seems to be saying by shia you're not chayiv and haktesh v'goy. According to Rambam's smash, but that avodim shtaros karkos chayiv the masik yadayim because she is considered like a masik. Well, hektish v'goy, he holds that when you're masik hektish and you're masik v'goy, the pater gamkein masik yadayim al kain lo kasaram the hektish v'goy. That's why the Rambam didn't say that by pshir you're going to be chayiv al masik. In other words, the Torah considers a person who's watching someone a poshet as if he's a masik, but he says there's no din of masik by hektish and goy. So therefore, the Rambam holds you're not chayav on shia by hektish and goy. Ayin pnei Yeshua b'avda metzia perik asov because of gamkein b'afilu mazah b'gadayim pater b'hektish. It's not so pashut, but the Zumar this says your pater because hektish says re'el and not hektish, but that could be by mamon masik, not by odom masik. But he says the Bnei Yeshua says it's even by mazah b'gadayim even odom masik is pater by hektish. So therefore he's saying to say their teretz that by a goy you're going to be chayav, you still have a chayas of shia. It's hard to say that for the Rambam because the Rambam holds there is no chiyav, the way he's being medayek in the language of the Rambam, there is no din of shia by a hektish for a goy. In kainim lo kibul al sarach ian. So therefore if you stam or a shomer according to the Rambam for a goy or hektish, you're not chayav on any achrayus. It's not even a pshia. He says in kibul beferish achrayus, but he says for sure that was the deal. If the goy came up to you and made you a shomer, and you were makabel achrayus, so then it's a special kabbalah. So now he says in kibul beferish achrayus the pshia. I said for sure. He said not mashpin. That's not for sure. He says yesh machokas ben aposim. He means you are b'chayv Mashiach, but then I'll be telling us machokas if you're over by your roh, because some shitas hold the chilach rayas of Shia is not enough to be over by your roh. That's what he means. But he holds that when you are makabel rayas, you're certainly chayv al Shia, but could be that's not enough to be chayv for by your roh. But gneva aveda. But let's see, what about if you were makabel rayas for gneva aveda? In kibul avadai over, you would be over. So he's learning that even though you don't have a din and the chayfetz, but since you were makabel, it's not so pashut to me in Svar, but if you were makabel achrayas, that's good enough to be over. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure if that's so pashut. Maybe it is. You have to know the Gemara, because achrayas is a din, and mitzad the chayfetz you're achrayas. When you're makabel achrayas, it's a kabbalah. You know, it's like it's no different than I'll say I'll give you $10 if it rains tomorrow or something like that. You know, you can make a Kabbalah, but maybe that's not like a achrayas and a chayfetz. It's not that because you're a shomer and the chayfetz you were a kabbalah. It's really not tied to the. Even though it's like you made a hischayvus that if anything happens,
so
you'll okay.
So you're saying with the shomer chinam.
So if you're chayav am shia, so then could be they hold that's enough achrayas. But that's an achrayas as a shomer. You're
the shomer is inherent in the chayfetz.
In the chayfetz, stam is if you're
once you become a shomer, then that's already finds your connection to the chayfetz.
Right. So, but if you're a shomer by goy, he's learning you're not chayav and achrayas, even of shia.
Right.
Except if you're makabel, he's learning that would be enough. If you're makabel shia, if you hope shia is enough, that's a good enough achrayas. It's a chiddush, but it's not so pashut. But I'm not arguing with him. I just think that it's not necessary. I think
unless it's a concern for the chayfetz. In other words, whatever the reason is,
right,
is that you're not supposed to have a concern for chametz.
Yeah, could be, but that's how you totally what you're darshing when you're marba cries. But I think there's a case in the Gemara. I don't remember the Gemara so well, but I think the Gemara over there has a case where it says Goyish soldiers used to come to these towns. I think the Gemara says, and they used to leave over the chametz by their chametz by the Jews, and the Jews were responsible if the Jews didn't take care of the stuff.
Right. They
would demand money from the Jews and stuff like that, and that they weren't considered achrayas. And I think over there, the Rishonim speak about why is that an achrayas? Because they were also, that's not inherent in the chayfetz.
No.
The goyim were going to make you responsible, and you see that's enough to be called achrayas. So that's connected with it's not like what I'm telling you, but it's still. It's not exactly it's connected against the real svar that I'm saying, but it's not so much connected because when they make you responsible, you're responsible about korkal. They're forcing this shaykhs to the chayvitz on you. But when you're makabel achrayus on your own, that's them. It's his chayvitz. It's not it's not the.
I understand.
So it could be even that's different than the case of the goyish soldiers. But he's saying that. I hear what he's saying. I just don't know. You have to still get good.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is what I'm saying, that it just makes the chayfetz chashuv.
Yeah.
And it just.
Yeah. So that's telling what the Gezeres Akasa is teaching you.
Right.
So all these cases, like even let's say the case before that he said if you have a achrayas you're chayav, certainly if you have a kinyan paris you're chayav. So it was a certainly. So it's. That because he's learning the pasuk is a gilui that's a different type of ownership. But if it's a gilui, so why isn't there just svar that you can only be marba what there is to be marba? Be marba the less chiddush. If you hold kinyan paris is less chiddush, so say the pasuk is telling you kinyan paris. How do you know to be marba even achrayas? So you have to go into the limud. How do you know to?
Because it's only extended to the limit to the limited extent to extended, right?
Yeah.
So.
Now he says the imichelo bias, but let's say you're a shomer and you have a achrayas, but you keep the item that you're a shomer in a certain part, and you say that to the owner who's giving you the pikadon that we're going to keep your pikadon in that place, and you have a right to that place for the pikadon, right? You could, in other words, the person who's giving me the pikadon, he could say that the pikadon has to be kept in a certain corner or a certain room, he says. And the din is then, ain't over. Even if you have a achrayas, you're not over. Because it's still considered, because they're still considered more like in the rishus of the owner, because he has a right to have that his chayvitz has to be kept in a special place that's miyuchad for him. That's a gemara. V'ayin slach p'sachim hayam days shekasav tam lasorim the dafka achrayas gneva aveda lo pshia. So he says as far why if you're only chayav on gneva aveda, and not if you're chayav that they hold that you only have that achrayas but not the achrayas of pshia. And he says a nice svara, and I don't know what this svara is. In other words, I was going to say, but it could be only if the achrayas, if you're not at fault. But gneva aveda is also considered, it's not an onus, it's considered like you're a little bit at fault. Of pshia, so you're a bigger fault. But I hear I hear as far, I don't know what the slach says, but I hear if you hold like the Rambam, that pshia is mitam mazik, right? Mm-hmm. So then it's not really a svara of achrayas. In other words, if you're a shomer with achrayas, it's your achrayas for the chayvitz. If you're only chayiv on pshia, and you learn pshia is considered, the Torah considers a pshia like mazik, so it's not an achrayas sticker. You know what I mean? It's the Torah, just like if you're mazik someone, you're not chayiv. If you're mazik someone's chametz, you have to pay him, and you're not considered a owner because you have. So if you hold pshia is mitam mazik, you can understand that pshia is not considered like an achrayas. So it could be that's what it's telling. But I don't know what the slach says. At least on the bottom, the slach says. No, there's no humor side because he doesn't say.
This thing, but he says lo bias. It's interesting because when we sell the chametz, we're makbid that we rent out the space to the guy, and we also don't take any achrayas on it. But what he's saying, if you actually rent out the space, it might be that you could take achrayas. Maybe it's just the fact is that usually in the sale of chametz it's so broad anyways. You say usually what happens is that
make all kinds of
but
they actually rent out the place too.
They rent out the place.
That's what it says in the star.
In the star, the place where the chametz is rented out with it, and part in the kinyanim. That's one of the reasons I'm talking because first of all, what works for the goy, what doesn't work, but also because one is chatzir and one is metaltalin. So you have to cover all things. But it's just
here he's saying that you're not over, even if you do have a right. So he's saying there would be no need to. Technically,
I mean, you make it clear you have no achrayas, and I mean that's in the shtar also. We're selling it; it's yours, and you have no achrayas. But it's just interesting because unless the reason for that is you put in all these things, but the truth is that if someone sells, they could basically, I'm selling my chametz and they don't know where it is. Okay, fine, don't worry about it. Just because selling it. Okay, but it's interesting. I didn't know that thing. Yeah.
Okay, next one. But then chametz shekibo Yisrael achrayas, because we said with kabbalas achrayas you're over by Rabbi Moshe Hochman. Eicha Yisrael yivara chametz. Says what is the Jew supposed to do? It says yichayil levar. Says how could you be levar? You don't own it. Eicha Yisrael yivara chametz. Who goes to the goy? It belongs to the goy. Befrat, v'hani shitas the gezel goy min Torah. There are certainly shitas the gezel akum is deraisa.
Right.
But afilu yasham, and even you say, well, you could pay him for it. If I'll pay him for it, I'll burn the chametz and I'll pay him for it. But they hold that's also gezel. You're not allowed to steal and pay for it. Afilu yasham chashav gezel. It's not so pashut because I know there's a gemara that says if your gozel amanas shalom is considered gzela, but some people say that's only by a Jew and not by a not by goy. But he's assuming this then of the afilu shalom you're over gezel is even by a goy. So he's asking, so even if you have a achrayas and you're going to be over by Yerah, how are you allowed to burn it? So you shouldn't be over by Yerah because you have to steal from the goy. I answered them back. Whoever asked him this, he answered them back. Lo havi rak mazik goy. He says if you destroy the chametz, you're only considered a mazik. But zel matzina l'kuyam iser. B'goy. He said by mazik we don't find an isser b'goy, as we find an isser gezel by a goy, but not mazik. The gam Yisrael near the law b'rak mikoch the Torah sitso lo hashiv aveidaso, because even by a Jew where he's agreeing that there's an isser, that's the very beginning of the cup of a kama, everybody starts. This shaila is the Gemara speaks about tashlumim. Is there any isser to be mazik? So there's many rayos, but it's not clear what the isser is to be. Mazik. In other words, certainly about mazik you have to pay you. That's what the whole Bava Kama is talking about. But am I allowed to be mazik? Because where does it say in the Torah you're not allowed to be mazik? So he's saying, so one of the sources, I knew this was Steiper, I didn't know this Minchas Chinuch. I once learned it. But the Steiper says, one of the sources is, because it says if you see someone's Aveda, it says there's a la b'lo sulcha alisalim. So it's a kol shekain. He says, if you're not allowed to be masalim, it's certainly not allowed to be mazik. So he says the isser to be mazik is a kal v'chomer from lo sulchal leisalim. So I remember the first time I learned about the Kamer, Weimer said very nice, but then it's going to come out. He says that kal v'chomer is only by adam mazik.
Right.
And Achronim brought rayas that even by mammon mazik, if you don't watch your shomer, let's say animals and their mazik, there's also an inyan of an isser by your mama mazik also. So this kavachomer is if the whole kavachomer is from Mosucha Salam, it should only be by Adam mazik, it shouldn't be by Mammon mazik. That's what it's saying. But here he says clearly. He says this whole isser of being mazik a Jew, the whole isser is only the lo heavy rak mikoch that Torah sivso lahashi lo leidosam mikoshka and shalo laziko. That's mamash the staple. I don't maybe the staple brings in the first thing. That's like the first staple in Bava Kama. Avol begoy lo shayavsa, because there's no din of Shabbos Aveda, so you don't have the whole Kavach Homer. So he's saying there's no isser in mazik a goy. So he says if you take this chametz and you burn it, he says you're not going to be over. That's going to be mazik. There's no geneva or anything like that. You're not being mazik it. But after Yisrael afilarot l'sham lo osir l'asiko, he says even though it's true that even if you're so he's saying if you want to pay, so then you don't have this kavachomer from a Shabbos Aveda either, because it's a kavachomer like just like this little sukkah salim. There you're not going to pay him for it. You just don't want to return it. You make a kavachomer, so certainly you can't be mazik. But that would only be a good kavachomer if you're not mazik almanas to pay. But if you're mazik almanas to pay, you don't have that isser either. So how do you know, according to this, that it's usher?
The isser of not returning, of just forgetting about it.
If you forget about it, but if you want to be mazik and pay,
that wouldn't be.
You don't know. You won't have an isser from here.
Why?
Because by a Shabbos Aveda, he says if you don't want to return the Aveda, but you're willing to pay for the Aveda, you're not going to be over those so-called Solemn either. So it could be those so-called Solemn if you don't just want to.
That's interesting. I think that's interesting to say that you're not over if you're willing, if you don't return it, and you're willing to say, listen, I came by your Aveda. So here's the money for it.
It's too much of a problem for me. I don't want to schlep or whatever I want to do, and here's the money for it.
That's okay.
That's what he's saying. Yeah. But that's not such a big fetish. I mean, you think it's mustaver that you are over.
Depends whether it's in the chayfus or in the kesef. You know, I mean, if it's.
But it's always brought down the musar that should let you lose money. It's not totally in the stories like him. Know that if you're going to pay, you're not going to be over. Even by gezel, you have to have a special pasuk to say. To steal almanas l'shalim or it's a special review over there. So anyway, right here, maybe it's Chiddush.
Yeah.
He says, but after Israel, so he says, so he's saying you can't. There's an isser to be. There's no isser in mazik the goy, and he says, and he says even though there's an isser to be mazik Israel, but if you want to pay, there's no isser. Hainu Mishum, he says, why isn't there, he says it's usher, he says, but not because of the Kavachomer from the Veda. He says, Hainu Mishum, Nisashal Bahapta Larecha Kamocha, Tamadasani Lach. So in other words, he's saying, Einach Enami, the Isser Mazik, if you want to pay, it's only because of the mitzvah Bahapta Larecha Kamocha. Avo Begoy, Lo Shayachse. So you don't have Bahapta Larecha by a Goy. So therefore he's saying, if you have a Goy's Chametz, and you have a chrayas, so you're mechuyev to mevayer. So all you're doing by mevayer is being masik, and there's no isser being masik a goy, so it's not problem. It's not called gesel goy. And then by a Jew, there is an isser to be masik, but in a similar situation, if you pay, he says it's not even that isser to be masik. It's only you have to l'reacha kamocha. The truth is, I remember in Bava Kama when I once made a list of all the different shitas in the Rishonim or in the Achronim that say what the Isser to be mazik comes from. Some say the whole Isser comes from Hatareva, because some make this Kavachomer from Aveda. There's others. So there's a Rabbeinu Yonah. They don't know where he gets it from, but he says clearly. He says in Shari Tshuva, Rabbeinu Yonah says that the pasuk. I don't know if he's speaking about Gneva or Gezel, but he says Niklal on the Isser. Lo signal or lo signal, I don't know which one he says it by, is the isser to be mazik. They don't know where he gets it from, so they bring that Rabbeinu Yonah and Shari Tshuva that says the isser to be mazik. So then it already, if that's the isser to be mazik by, it could be by a Jew, but if the old Gezel Akum was also, it could be it's nipple by him also, an isser to be mazik. Like you have to see what psuki mark, because it's not so pasha when you say Gezel Akum Zaser. What's
I was just trying to figure out about this mazik. The fact of the matter is that if you pick up the chayfetz to burn it, but at the point you're picking it up, is that considered? I mean, I guess you have kavanah not to be kohen, or is that?
Right, that's what they say. They say if you pick it up to be mazik, it's not going to be it's not going to be gnev either. It's going to be only mazik.
Okay, I was trying to.
Because by picking it to steal it, it means you're picking it to keep it. Although in the rebooing, you have it's not clear. Like for when it goes almanas lahazik, you're to pay.
It's 9:14.
What?
It's 9:14.
Oh, better go because they're very quick. High school.